Hi, and welcome to this week's Wednesday chat. Today I'm going to be talking about how I'm making my Christmas more sacred, more intentional, more about Jesus, and just everything that I want Christmas to be for me and my family. So this week on the blog, I put up a post about how you can make your holidays in general, more sacred. And it was a review of a new book called Sacred Holidays, Less Chaos, More Jesus by Becky Kaiser. And who couldn't use less chaos and more Jesus in their life, right? And I thought it was a fantastic book. I loved it. I got so much out of it. She really helps you think about what you want from the holidays and kind of cast a vision for the holidays, and then helps you make some very actionable plans and steps for how to make that a reality in your life. It's not about adding more to your to-do list or feeling guilt or pressure. But it's just all about deciding what you want to do for your family and then making that happen in your life. And it's not just Christmas in the book either. When I first got it, I thought it was going to be about Christmas, but it was a lot more than just Christmas. She talks about New Year's, Valentine's Day, Lent and Easter, summer, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Advent, and Christmas, and birthdays. So she talks about all of those holidays and how to make them all more sacred. So really any day that your family celebrates, any celebrations at all in your family, and she talks about it. And then in the third part of the book, she addresses some common struggles that we have when it comes to celebrating holidays, like how to not be that Christian, realistic expectations, conflict, drama, and all the feels, budgets and generosity, schedules and plans, grief. She talks about Santa and the Easter Bunny. And then she talks about how to be yourself and how to be with others. So the whole book is just about pointing people to Jesus through your holidays, drawing closer to God through your holidays, and loving on others more in how you celebrate the holidays. And I just loved the book. So if you want to read more about it, go to this week's post. I put the link in the description and read my full review of the book. But I highly, highly recommend it. It was a great read, and I will be reading it all throughout the year as we go through all those holidays. But today, in this chat, I wanted to talk about 3 big takeaways that I had from the book and ways that I personally am making Christmas specifically more sacred this year. The book covers all the major holidays, but since we're gearing up for Christmas, I thought I would talk about Christmas specifically. So these are 3 main takeaways from the book Sacred Holidays by Becky Kaiser. So the first takeaway that I got from the book was to make a plan early. She talks a lot in the book, the whole first part of the book, before we even dive into the nitty-gritty of the holidays. She talks about having a vision in your head of what you want the holiday to be and starting early and planning. And so that part really helped me, because I think part of the reason that I get to Christmas and I think, gosh, I didn't even make the most of it. I think my problem is that I just get too close to the actual day. You know what I mean? Like we're in the week before Christmas, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh, but we still haven't done this, and we haven't done that, and oh, I wanted to do this. So I started reading the book before Thanksgiving, and I read the chapter on Thanksgiving, and then I also read the chapter on Christmas. So I started a whole more than a month ahead of time. And so I made an actual plan. So I sat down, answered the questions that she asks before each holiday. I thought about what I want Christmas to look like for our family, and then I made an actual plan. And that included a vision for Christmas, but then it also included a list of things that I definitely wanted to do as a family, and then I put it in my calendar. I actually put it in my planner, the things that I wanted to do. Not now, I will later, okay? There's Aiden. Making his appearance as he does every week. So I put things in my planner so that I knew that we would have time for it and I could prepare for it. You know, like when we made cookies, well, we're not done yet, but we made some cookies. I had it in my planner. I knew what day we were going to do it. I knew what day I needed to get the ingredients. So I put it in my planner. So that was my first takeaway, was to start planning early. Don't wait until the week before Christmas. Don't even wait until December, because December gets so crazy so fast. Start in November and start making your plans, and then get it in your planner. Number 2 was to have realistic expectations, Betty. Her chapter in part 3 about realistic expectations was one of my favorites. It was so good. And it was such a good reminder for me that I need to keep in mind that I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. You know, my Christmas, how I teach them about Jesus, how we do things is not going to look the same as someone with an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old or a 16-year-old, you know. So I need to be realistic about the fact that I have a toddler and a preschooler. And I also needed to realize that I can't compare what I do to someone else. You know, what my giftings are, that's different than someone else's giftings. What I enjoy doing, what our family enjoys doing, you know, we're all different. Every family is different. So I can't compare my Christmas to someone else's. Please stop right now. And then number 3 was that I have to make it sacred for me first before I can expect to make it sacred for my kids. Part of what got me started on being so intentional about Christmas was having kids and knowing that I needed to teach them about the true meaning of Christmas. And so I became very intentional about that. But then Becky, in the book, really challenged me. Stop right now. Really challenged me to think about how I'm making it sacred in my own life first, because I can't teach them how to do it if I'm not doing it in my own life. So I have a passage from the book that I want to read to you, and it's a little long, but it's all so good, so just bear with me for a minute. She says, "With good intentions, we can make these obviously sacred holidays all about opportunities to teach our kids. Yes, we should always seek opportunities to show them the gospel. However, and this is a big however, it should never come ahead of our own pursuit of Christ. We cannot lead our kids where we are not currently walking. We cannot make disciples if we aren't disciples ourselves. I get a lot of questions from moms about how they can do Advent with their kids, and my response is always this: Advent is for you first, then it's for your child. Just as the flight attendant encourages you to put your mask on first, then your child's, so I encourage you in the same way. You must first celebrate Advent, then invite your kids into it. I don't mean that you can't involve your kids in it this year if it's your first shot at celebrating Advent. I simply mean to be sure you don't exclusively try this list of things to do with your kids and neglect what you can do first. Most of what I share for adults are all things that can be incorporated for the whole family to participate in. The beauty is that they get to see us do it first. The disciple gets to watch the discipler show them how, not just tell them how. Let's lead our kids to celebrate Jesus from a place of celebrating Jesus ourselves. This is the best way you can lead your kids." How good was that? I read that and I was inspired and a little bit convicted. You know, I'd been all about how to make it more sacred for my kids, but I hadn't been putting as much effort into making it sacred for me first. And the best way to show them is through modeling. And so if I'm not doing it myself, if they're not seeing me do it, if they're not seeing these values and these things in me, they're not going to care. They're not going to really think it's important. It's just going to be all talk and no action. So I need to make it sacred for me first before I can make it sacred for them. So those are the big 3 takeaways that I had from the book, but there were so many other things that I gained from the book, and there's a lot of really practical help in this book, as well as all the big picture kind of thinking that she helps you do. So that's all for today, because someone and I are going to go have a little chat right now. So I will sign off for now, and I will see you next week.